Hello everyone, my name is Robert and I am taking the ABC course Econ 101, and this is my video on a term that not only affects a few people but everybody. And what is this term? This term is inflation. So you've probably heard of what inflation is. You've probably gone to the store and seen the increase in those food prices. You've gone to fill up your car and you've seen those gas prices going up, and possibly you could have even seen your rent jump a little bit. So what exactly is inflation and why does it matter so much? So inflation is the rate at which the general level of prices for goods and services increase. We're not talking about those small businesses. We're not talking about those individual things. We're talking about the general level of prices increase. So this reduces the purchasing power of money. So now what is the purchasing power of money? This is how much value that dollar holds. The purchasing power of money might have been more, it might have had more power yesterday. A dollar could have gotten me a chocolate bar. Today, maybe it can only get me half a chocolate bar. This is the difference in the purchasing power of money. So if you had $100 a year ago, that's great. Awesome. But that $100 isn't going to be worth as much today as it was that year ago that you had it. So this isn't just an abstract concept. It affects wages, it affects savings and investments, and can even impact the stability of an entire country's economy. So in this video, we're going to try to break it down, get into it, and explain what inflation is and all that it entails. So what is inflation? Inflation is the term that refers to an increase in the general price of levels. Like I said earlier, it's not the few levels, it's the entire, it's the general levels. It's not individual, it's general, it's all around. So this is the term in which refers to the increase over time. So economists measure the increase with something we like to call the CPI, or the Consumer Price Index, which tracks the price changes of a basket of commonly purchased items. So this could be things like food, housing, transportation, medical care, etc., more. So in the US, the CPI for 2023 could have been shown as 5%. Okay? So compared to the prices of the previous year, 2022, meaning prices on average were 5% higher in 2023 than they were in 2022. So the 5% inflation rate is significant because it shows how much more expensive things have gotten in just 12 months. So for example, the average price of a gallon of gas in 2022 could have cost like $3.50. But in 2023, you could be looking at a $3.70 price for a gallon. And this is an increase of 5.7%. Now, that 20 cents doesn't sound much, but for somebody who fills up their car once a week, that could mean $10.40 extra spent on just gas, on just transportation. So now inflation isn't just about rising prices, it's also about the purchasing power of money, which we went over earlier. As inflation rises, the dollar you earned yesterday doesn't stretch as far today as it would have yesterday. So this is why inflation is so important to understand, because it impacts everything from the price of a bread to the interest of loans that your ability to save for and your ability to save for it in the future. So we're going to be going over what are the causes of inflation. That's supposed to say causes. My apologies. So what causes inflation? So there are three main types of things that economists can quickly identify. So we have the demand pull inflation. So I use the push pull door. I thought it was funny. So this happens when demands for goods and services outpaces supply. So in a growing economy, people have more income to spend, and businesses can keep up with an increased demand, so they can raise their prices. So, looking at a real life example, during the COVID 19 pandemic, global supply chains were disrupted and consumer demand for products such as electronics, home application, and exercise equipment had a surge. So the demand surged for those items, and this led to the price increase in these sectors. The more people want it, the more they would be willing to pay for it. So the US saw a spike in demand for home improvement items like furniture and paint because of the fact that everybody was inside of their home. So they saw an opportunity to drive up these prices. So another one, we have the cost push inflation. So this occurs when the cost of product increase, typically due to higher wages of raw material costs. As businesses face higher costs, they can pass those increases onto commoners through higher prices. So, for example, in 2023, the price of oil could have surged by 10%, from $60 per barrel to 66 per barrel. As oil is used in the production of many goods, from plastics to transportation, this price increase led to higher production costs across various industries. So this is pushing up the prices for everything from groceries to electronics, not just those oil prices. And next we have the built-in inflation, or the wage price spiral. So this is a cycle when worker demand higher wages because they see prices rising. So you see everything's getting more expensive, you need more money to live. So businesses raise prices to cover up these higher wages, leading to more inflation. It's like a cycle. And currently, you could look in the US, there were labor strikes in the auto industry. And when workers demanded higher pay for higher living costs, the companies agreed to raise wages, and the cost of cars increased, which further led to even more inflation. It caused more crumbling. So, moving on, we have our numbers. So, we're going to look at some numerical examples to see how inflation plays out in the real world. So, at the top, we have our. Sorry, let me move. At the top, we have our formula. So it is level in new year minus level in previous year over level in previous year times 100 to get that percentage change. Okay, so let's look at gasoline first. Okay, so last year, gasoline could have been $3.50 per gallon. We'll look at that. But with the 5% inflation rate, the price suddenly changes. We have right here the 3.50 times 1.05 to get the increase to 3.675, or you could always just raise that up to 3.68. Okay? So bread was $2. Now we have that 5% inflation rate. So you got to do $2 times 1.05 to get that new answer of $2.10. Next, you have your rent. You have rent. My apologies. So you have rent right here. You started with $1,500 a month. Now you have a 5% inflation rate. Now you have 1,500 times 1.05 to get $1,575 per month. So you would be paying $75 more per month, which is a lot. So we're gonna be talking about almost like the effects of inflation. So it has different effects on many different things. purchasing power. As prices go up, the purchasing power goes down, the less things that your money can buy, can purchase. Your inflation rates. In order to control inflation, banks like the Federal Reserve may increase interest rates. Higher rates can slow down borrowing and spending, which helps reduce inflation, but it also makes loans, mortgages, and credit card debt more expensive. So these are just a few things that are affected, but obviously there are the ones that everybody talks about, those food, the rent, the gas, but these are all just things in general. So moving on, we can look at the AI application in inflation management. So I know this wasn't specifically like laid out in the book very well, or it wasn't a big term, but it is something that is big. So in today's world, AI is being used in innovative different ways to tackle economic problems, including inflation. So central banks, such as, let's use the Federal Reserve again, are using AI-powered predictive models to forecast inflation trends and make more informative decisions about inflation interest rates. My apologies. So AI is also being used by businesses to optimize supply chain. So try to optimize everything that they can get out of that, reducing prices and maintaining the supply costs. So they're reducing their prices and trying to minimize the cost push factors that led to the inflation in the first place. So for example, AI algorithms can predict demand for products, allowing companies to adjust the inventory levels in real time, which can help stabilize prices. So in the financial world, AI powered trading algorithms can help investors find opportunities to build and help against inflation. So by analyzing the amounts of data that can be used to identify the patterns that humans might miss. That's what AI is there for, to look at those patterns and try to discover something that AI might miss. So wrapping up, in conclusion, inflation is more than just a rise in your prices. Everybody hears the word inflation, they think, oh, it's just a rise in prices. It's more than that. It's the force that shapes economists' wages, investments, and even personal finances. So whether it's due to demand, production costs, or wage cycles, understanding inflation helps us navigate the economic landscape. So while in a moderate amount of inflation is normal and even healthy by a growing economy, it's a teeter-totter almost. High inflation can be a burden on individuals and businesses, and it can bring down the economy that we're trying to build. But anyways, that's my lesson on inflation. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.